This computer. Awesome. Hi, David.
Hello.
Thank you for joining me today. I'm excited to hear about your experience working in early childhood, and all the tech and all the knowledge you have. Um,
Sure.
yeah, great. So here at Playground, we're passionate about making solutions for educators to help simplify their life, help streamline your education. But I want to learn a little bit about you and your background in this space. It'd be great if you can just start off telling us about yourself and what brought you into early childhood education.
Sure, absolutely. So, my name is David. Everyone calls me Rabbi David around here, and I'm the director of youth education at Temple Sinai, which is down in Miami, North Miami. Um, I should have started doing early childhood a long time ago. I was a congregational rabbi. So, for those who may not be familiar, that means that I served a temple, a synagogue, or a congregation for 20 years. I was up in Boston at a synagogue for 17 years. I did a lot of work in education, but mostly elementary, middle, and high school. So, I've taught and worked in administration in a number of different Jewish day schools. Made my way down to Florida, was again a congregational rabbi up in Palm Beach Gardens, and then came down here. And um, I've always I've always done better with kids than adults. I've always I think they've been drawn to me, and I've most definitely been drawn to them. And I think that that's in part because I am a naturally very curious, playful kind of guy. I don't really take all that much all too seriously. And so I'm very, very comfortable and happy just hanging out with kids and playing with kids. And actually, the one thing I do take seriously is kids. To me, they're just little people, and they deserve the same love and respect that adults do. And so I came upon this position wanting to kind of get out of the congregational life. I just about had it with the bureaucracy and the committee meetings and all of that. I wanted to be on the ground working with people and with children. And so I actually started here not in the early education. I started here running their supplementary school program and their high school. It's not a high school program, but it's high school youth programming. And then I took over the preschool as well. So I've been here at the preschool for, I guess, 3 or 4 years, and I've been with the community for 5 years. And I'm never leaving. I joke with people all the time that I have absolutely the best job in the world, because I get to play with kids all day, and then when I need to, I can just hide in my office and hop on a Zoom with you or who it's there really is something so magical about being around people who look at the world every day with wide eyes and curiosity, and who aren't afraid to wear their struggles on their sleeves and work through difficult times. And it's there's something very authentic and raw and just holy and beautiful about that. So I've always loved young kids. I've always played with young kids. I've never really worked formally with young kids, but I took over this position, and I have learned so much from my teachers here, but also maybe even more importantly from the kids.
Yeah, I love the outlook. I mean, very few people I feel like refer to kids as people. They refer to
Oh,
them as
they are, yeah. And I treat them, I speak to them as such. There's no baby language. There's no, I ask them how their day was. I ask I strive to always ask high level questions in a way that they can that they're able to respond and participate. So I'm not overshooting so much that the kids are lost, but they deserve to have real conversations and real questions. And for us, and this is nothing new, I'm sure all directors do this, but get down on their level, right? To be able to look eye to eye with them, so they're not always looking up at me, but that they're really seen as equals in as many ways as they can be.
Yeah, that's great. I'm curious, how big is your operation in your center? How many staff members are there? How many people do you have? How many students do you have?
Sure. So when I came, we were in a really poor place, a really bad place. We had the center had suffered through a couple directors who just hadn't been the right fit, and we were from a height of well over 100, we were down to 40 kids, and we built that back up over the first couple of years, and then the pandemic hit. And thank God we were able to sustain ourselves pretty much. We had a few losses, but pretty much through that. And now we're up to 136 students.
Wow.
Our next year we'll be adding another class. The year after that we'll be adding one more class, and then we will be maxed out with 13 classes. So even though we're rated here for 270, we will only have 170 because the small classes, small numbers are really important to me. So I've got two full-time teachers in every classroom. So we've got about 22 staff with about 136 kids.
And what ages are the kids from?
We start at 18 months and we go up to VPK, voluntary pre-kindergarten, which for us is, just before kindergarten.
Nice.
Yeah.
And congrats on growing it even more than it was before.
Thank God. You know what? And it really happened. I've learned a lot actually about marketing from this job because we've done none. And what I mean to say is that this has all happened just people talking to people, word of mouth. If you do your job well, word gets around.
Yep.
And that's, I'm not suggesting I did my job well, but our teachers have done their job well, and I've helped to just amplify their voices.
That's awesome.
Yeah.
Great. I'm sure other places will love that inspiration of, focus on giving good quality care and the kids will come.
Absolutely. Absolutely.
So in terms of your operation and growing, was there any growing pains for you as a director, for your team, as pre-pandemic, you hit the pandemic and now you're growing even more? How do you go about adding new staff members, getting them set up for success?
It's a really good question. I'm not a terribly great administrator, if I'm being perfectly honest. I'm a good facilitator, so I can facilitate things getting done, right? And I know we'll talk about this later, but I can set up great systems that will help things get done. If teachers need orders, it's done in a matter of minutes. If we need to, run progress reports and make them available, that I can do. Really, when it comes to the teachers, though, and my support of them, in many ways it feels flipped. In many ways it feels like they're the ones who are supporting me. They are so much more knowledgeable than I am. There's a reason I'm not in the classroom. It's because they're better at that than I am. And so I probably haven't done as good a job as I could at onboarding and giving them the tools that they need. But my approach, which I guess has been somewhat successful, is I trust them. Like, I hire people that I can trust. I almost never, I think we've hired one person that came not from a reference of a current teacher. So everybody who works here kind of knows each other. Mm-hmm. And because I trust my teachers, I trust who they send to me to hire. And that trust allows everyone to just do their jobs. I was just meeting today actually with a teacher, and she was thanking me for giving her the sort of the freedom to do her job. And I explained to her, I said, I wouldn't even know how to begin to tell you how to do your job better, because I just trust you all to do it well. And so far, I haven't been burnt by that trust.
That's great. I mean, that makes you think about the hiring process for you. And are there specific qualities you look for when you're interviewing teachers?
Yeah. Again, I'm probably not a great example of this, but I'll tell you, for me, there are three things that I'm looking for. One is just that gut feeling when you're talking to someone. I think I have a pretty good sense of people. And so when I guess there are four things actually, but so there's a gut reaction that I have when I'm speaking with someone, and connected to that, it really matters to me that people show up and show their best. So most of my initial conversations are over Zoom, and I'm a bit of a tech snob, but if you're coming to an interview by holding your phone in portrait mode in Zoom, I'm sorry, that's an immediate turnoff for me. Take this seriously. Find a place to sit. I don't care if you're on your phone, but find a place to sit, set it up against a book or a box, present yourself professionally. If you're going to come into the building, I want you to come, and I want you to both act and behave as if you really want this.
Yeah.
So those are the first two, right? That's sort of that gut sense, and then show me that you really want to work here. The third thing I would say is, if you come to me and you don't know anything about our program, that's an immediate turnoff for me. I want you to have done just a little bit of research. Visit our website, ask a friend, go on Facebook, anything, Google us. Know something about our program so that it's not just me asking you questions, but you can ask me a question. Hey, I saw that you do X, Y, and Z. Tell me more about that. That's a huge win for me. If someone sounds interested in our program and took just a moment of time to explore. Just before we started this conversation, you said to me, I was doing some research. I saw that you do this, that, the other thing. Like right there, you win. You won today because it means you care. And that really matters. And the last thing, and this is one of those things that I guess you can't really, there's no way to measure it, but sorry, they're doing aftercare pickup, is there are only two things that I care about in my center. And I say this to every family that comes through. I say, your kid's going to learn their colors and their letters and the numbers and all that stuff. And I don't care about any of that. That's just not important to me. I care about two things. Number one, I want your child to know that they're safe. And number two, I want your child to know that they're loved. Because our philosophy here is that when children feel safe and feel loved, we can get out of the way and they do their thing. So the last thing I look for in teachers is really that love piece. I don't worry so much about the safety piece because I figure if they've made it through their DCF check and their the mandatory training they have to do, but I want to know in some way that they're not just going to be teaching content, but they're going to be teaching children and loving those children for who they are, the unique individuals that they are.
That's great. I don't have kids yet, but when I do, I'm sending them your way because
absolutely.
This preschool sounds like it's a wonderful environment.
We have fun. We have a lot of fun. Like we really do.
Yeah,
it's a lot of fun.
That's great. That's great. I'm happy to hear that. And so right now, you're speaking. You got a walkie-talkie. They're doing after-school pickup.
Yeah, sorry.
You're not even there. So you have.
Oh no, I'm here.
You're there, but you're not on the line taking the kids out with the parents. You're able to be in your office talking with someone else on Zoom, and in the background, it's still working, it's still moving.
Well, so yes, and so I'm actually breaking my rule. So my rule is actually that I say good morning and goodbye to every single child every single day. Okay. And so I'm breaking my rule, but you're worth it. So there you go. I didn't mean to expose you breaking your rule. No, it's okay. And playground is worth it. Yeah. Oh, my team here is. I mean, I never miss a day, but that's something I have to talk to my therapist about. I just love coming to work, but honestly, I could disappear for hours on end and they would be absolutely fine.
Let's break. I'd like to break that down. I mean, how did you said you're good at putting in these systems. How did you go about that? What's the process like for you when you need to, if you can give me an example of a system you put in place?
Yeah. Well, so I actually thought of 3 different tools that I use almost daily that kind of help things go. And it's less about staff helping at pickup. It's more about sort of the administrative internal running of the school. So the first thing is playground. I'm not sure that we're here to plug the product, but I have to say that I have spent the past 3 years searching for and using pretty much every product out there. I don't really always like to go to the big ones because I like to have a connection with the company and to be able to give feedback and things, but I've used almost all of them. Having a solid, stable system that meets your center's needs as far as that checks the boxes. For us, it was easy check-in and check-out. It was managing student information, having it all in one place. And it was, a number of other things, but those are, and messaging, I guess, would be the third one. There's a lot more that Playground does, which isn't necessarily what I need, although it probably will be soon. Finding a tool, sort of an all-in-one tool that lets you not worry about those things is just, it's, for me, it's just so vitally important. When we do fire drills, I don't have to worry about grabbing a sheet of paper or a list of kids. It's on my phone. I walk out, I can count the kids on, how many kids do you have? Is that how many kids are checked in? Boom, done. When we do screenings, lots of screenings for speech therapy and all that stuff. If a parent wants to schedule a screening, there's a form in the app. They just fill it out. I get an email. I send it off. It's done. Otherwise, right, for example, VPK in Florida. Oh my God, VPK in Florida. We every month, we have to fill out an attendance sheet for every one of our children and then have the parents sign it. Fine, no big deal. Last year, I said, you know what, I'm going to streamline this. So I purchased what was it called? PandaDoc, I think, which allows you to upload PDFs and then have parents digitally sign them, like you all have here in the app. Sorry for my dog barking in the background. No, she's the school mascot, so she comes all the time. And I sent it to all the parents. They all digitally signed, and then the state said, no, you can't do that. I have to walk out and have every parent physically sign. It's like the height of insanity in today's world. So where you can, having a system like Playground to streamline your work is just fantastic. It's just fantastic. I have two more, if that's okay.
Yeah.
Yeah. So another one is, and I'll bring it up so you can see here. So this is just our school website, nothing terribly exciting. But one of the things that I do all the time is, if you have your own website and if you know the very littlest a bit about SEO, search engine optimization, is that there's a way to do what's called redirects. So this is the back end of our website here, and I've got a thing called URL Redirect Manager. And I can just click on that, and you're going to be able to see that I have a ton of redirects. Now, what does this mean? This means that I've got a long URL here that I want to send parents to so that they can enroll for this, that, or the other thing. I need it simple. I want it simple. So I created this redirect, which is Gone Sinai, that's our school.org/2022. That's all they have to remember. And I do this for everything, for billing, for camp, for orders. We're in the process now of doing a whole bunch of updates to our building, and I wanted the teachers to be able to easily submit things that need to be fixed. So I created one, our website /fixmygone. If people want to make donations, we do it through Give Lively. I know we should do it through Playground, but we're not yet. /give. So, this is such a silly little thing, and you don't have to do it with these URL redirects. There's Bitly, there's goo.le, I think is that Google has one. You can even use something like Linktree, linktr. I think it's .ee, where it just kind of gives you a homepage where you can list all the important things. But having easy access for people, for your parents, for your teachers, for everyone through your website is just so important. And it drives people to your website. It teaches people that in my center, there are two sources of information: Playground and our website. That's it. We don't send emails. It's centralized. It's easy to find. And in fact, in Playground, up at the top, I don't know that I'll be able to show it to you. Let me see the feed. You all probably know that you can, I can, that you can pin posts. So this is the one that I have pinned for my staff, right? With all of these quick, and you can see they're all these easy to remember links. And they're all at gonsinai.org. And this is always here for them. My teachers always know if they ever need they don't have to come ask me. I just went out to Dollar Tree and I spent X, Y, and Z. How do I get reimbursed? It's right here. And the last thing is Google Sheets. Is that especially this year, I've really dived deep into Google Sheets and how I can use it for sort of keeping track of enrollment and placement and budgets and things like that. So every time I export anything, any kind of report from Playground, I'm able to pull that right into Google Sheets, and then using some sort of advanced plugins and stuff that are free. They're right there. It's not a secret. I can, by checking a box, add $200 to a child's tuition, or by clicking this thing, I can move that row over there. And all of these little tiny things just streamline. They just, it gives me more time to be with the kids.
Yeah.
Which is why I got into this.
Yeah. These are impressive systems. I mean, you should be the head of tech at all preschools. Those links are such a simple idea, but so smart.
Yeah.
Makes it really easy for parents and staff just to know what to do.
One of the things that people sometimes, when I talk about tech, because I hang around smarter people than me, I sometimes sound smarter than I am. All I do is use tools that other people build, and I use them well. So I use Playground, right? I use it really well. Someone asked me today, when are we out for Thanksgiving? I said, you can check in your app. The calendar is right there in your app. Our entire school schedule is right there. This isn't rocket science. This is finding the right tools for your needs, spending a little bit of time watching some YouTube videos, learning how to use them, and then letting them do the work for you so that you can focus on the much more important stuff.
Yeah. Do you have any idea off the top of your mind how many hours you're saving yourself by using
my goodness,
systems, Playground, those spreadsheets?
Oh my gosh. I can't put a number on it, but dozens, I would say. Yeah. From the links, so the ease of use links to the spreadsheet that I use for Hot Lunch, where every time people order, I just click buttons and then it automatically populates. And again, some of this, for those of you who are using Playground, most of this actually could probably all be done on Playground. For various reasons, I'm not able right now to do it all on Playground, but that's on me, not on Playground. Honestly, it's easily dozens and dozens of hours a month.
That's great.
Yeah.
That's great. And that's great that you're able to, spend that time back with the kids.
Absolutely. Yeah.
Over and over.
That's right.
That's great. So you spoke a lot of technology on the back end from the administrative perspective. We'd love to hear your opinion on having technology in classrooms.
Yeah. Not a fan. Not a fan. I've got 3 daughters, 24, 20, and 14, and they've all grown up on technology, and I hate it. I want children getting dirty. I want them at this age getting dirty, playing. I want to give them unfinished things that they can finish in their own way. All the things that we all want for our kids. There is absolutely a place for technology in schools. Me personally, I don't like having it in preschool. In fact, we used to have, when I first started here, we had, I don't know what they called it, computer time, where they had the kids in, for 15 minutes, 20 minutes a week or whatever, the oldest kids would learn how to not type, they'd learn how to use a mouse and things like that. And I got rid of it for 2 reasons. First of all, because none of these children are going to be sitting in front of a keyboard and a mouse in 10 years. Everything's going to be touchscreen and voice activated. So I'm not sure what the point is. But second of all, because I see when they get dropped off in the morning, they're taking their headphones off from watching the video that's in the car. When they get picked up, they're putting them back on. They don't need screens here. They just don't need it. So all of my classrooms have a smart TV in it, just a small, like 27-inch, kind of like a computer monitor, and an iPad. And that's so that during nap time, the teachers can put on music, or, if we're in our 3rd rainy day here in Florida and the teachers just need a half an hour break, they can put some educational content on. But other than that, no.
Great.
I'm not a big fan. Yeah.
direct contact. And I love the fact that you realize that, there's a whole other learning environment once they get home of, parents decide to give them technology or not. And, the preschool is not necessarily the place to be giving them more technology because
I don't think it is. And again, I'm a huge fan of technology. You know, when I worked at a Jewish day school up in Boston, I instituted a 1-to-1 program where every child got not an iPad, got a Chromebook back then. So I'm a big believer that at certain points and used in certain ways, technology it's not only important, it's fundamentally essential. And there are also things about, when it comes to coding and things like that, which that's invaluable for children, but not in preschool. I just don't think in preschool. I want them building with actual blocks, not Roblox.
Definitely. I don't want to take up too much more of your time, but there's a couple more topics I would like to touch on, if that's okay.
Yeah.
We'd love to hear about specifics of working in Florida as a childcare operator. Is there a specific process you have to follow to open up, to continue to operate? What organizations are you working with? Yeah.
I don't have a lot of information there because, again, I came in, this school has been here for 60 something years. I just kind of came in very quickly, got my director's credentials so that we could be compliant and went to all the classes. I know that we are licensed by the Department of Children and Families. We have a number of drop-ins where they come in and they inspect and all that other good stuff. We have to keep all of the paperwork and records and things like that. And thank goodness, the last time they came was the first time that I'm not keeping physical hard copy records of they have all these forms that you have to complete for them. And I put them all in Playground. And thank goodness they accepted it all being digital, because not having all that paperwork was just a tremendous lifesaver. Yeah. So we've got DCF. We're also part of the Early Learning Coalition. And there are a number of those chapters. We're in the Miami-Dade one. And so we work with them also. And then there's the VPK program, which is sort of kind of lives in between the two, I think. So I can't say much about opening a center other than every center employee has to have 45 mandated hours of training. The classes are all online, and then you have to go in person for testing. And you have to have CPR certification and things like that kept up. And for certain, depending on the number of children you may or may not have to have a director with a director credential. Most of our teachers here have the CDA, or that's the national certification. In Florida, there's one called the FCCPC. I have no idea what that stands for, but it's sort of the statewide complement to the CDA. But I look for teachers to have those certifications. It's not the most important thing to me.
Yeah, definitely.
Yeah.
And what would you tell a person that's looking to get into childcare operations administration in Florida, or or in general?
I think I would say, I'm trying to think about how to say this in a politically correct way. I bet that when my kids were going through preschool, that I was that crazy parent. I'm pretty sure of that. Now that my kids are long since out of preschool and I'm interacting with those crazy parents, I think it's important for us to remember as directors that, can I give an analogy?
Yep.
By way of example, my eldest daughter, who's now 24, when she was a baby, she had terrible reflux. And at one point she had to go in for an endoscopy. And they were going to put her under because she was a little baby. And I'll never forget this. The doctor took her in and then came back out to my wife and I and held our hands and said to us, "I promise you, she'll be fine." What happened in that moment is that the doctor realized that my daughter was not the real patient. We were the patient. My daughter was perfect. We were a disaster, but she was perfect. And I think it's important for us to remember that in these settings also, that 9 times out of 10, the challenges that we're experiencing with a child stem from home, or a challenge that a parent may be feeling may be impacting their relationship with us and the way they interact with us. And these parents they're struggling also. There are students, as it were, also. And so as much as we have to love the children, we also have to love the parents. And that can be difficult sometimes, because they, like I did, will sometimes drive you crazy. But you have to be partners with your parents for this to work for the kids. So I think that's probably what I would say. And love, it's all about love. It is all about love. Just love those children.
That's great. That's a wonderful piece of advice. That's it. My one last thing I want to ask you is what would Rabbi David of today tell Rabbi David of the past when he started this role?
When I started this role?
Sure. And before, 20 years ago when you were...
20 years ago, I would have said, stop doing that and start doing this in a heartbeat. I was in the wrong job for 20 years. I loved it. And I think I did a pretty good job. But now looking back, this is where I've always been meant to be. What did I tell myself 4 years ago? I think, sorry, this is a long pause for a podcast, I know.
No,
I think I would say, you don't need to be everyone's friend, but you do need to respect everyone. And I'm thinking specifically about my teachers. It has always been, my personality is that I always want to be everyone's friend. That's not the most important thing when you're in a director's role. It's the most important thing is that you respect them, that you love them, that you support them, and all of that. But that isn't the same as being someone's friend. And in order to be a successful director, I think that you need to do all of those things and not always worry about being their friend. Be their leader, be their guide, be their supporter.
Great. Well, I mean, it seems like now you've come to teach yourself that lesson.
I'm getting there. I'm getting there. I'm not there yet. I mean, I have a lot of growth I need to do in that area and many others, but I'm getting there. And I've definitely learned that over the past few years. That's
great. Well, thank you so much for this. This was a great discussion. And I'm really blown away by the perspective you have. And, your childcare center sounds incredible, for the teachers, for the parents, for the kids. It sounds like a great environment to work in. So congratulations.
Thank you. It's a good time. And thank you and the entire team at Playground for really allowing it to be that, so that there are so many things that I don't have to worry about. I just know they're taken care of. Really grateful to you and the whole team.
Yeah, we're happy to help you. And as always, any feedback, anything you want for your center, we're here for you. Absolutely. The Playground team. So thank you very much, Rabbi David, and we'll be in touch.
You got it.
Thank you.